Hello friends. While giving second technique to Devi, Shiva says, as breath turns from down to up, and again, as breath curves from up to down. Through both these turns, realize there is a slight difference in stress here. Instead of focusing on the gap, we shift our attention to the turning itself. Firstly, when we observe the incoming and outgoing breath, we will notice that they form a circle. It is crucial to understand that these are not two parallel lines. In reality, the breath going in completes half of the circle, while breath going out completes the other half. Secondly, the breath coming in and the breath going out are not separate breaths. They are part of the same continuous breath. Therefore, there must be a turning point where the incoming breath becomes outgoing. This turning point holds significance. Why do we stress so much on the turn? Well, let's compare this with driving and gears as done by Osho. He says, when changing gears, we always pass through the neutral gear, which isn't considered a gear itself. Similarly, when our breath turns from down to up or curves from up to down, it passes through this neutral gear. Without this turning, it cannot change its direction. In that neutral territory, neither the body nor the mind prevails. It's a moment of existence where you are simply present, unembodied, and free from mental activity. This is why the turn holds importance. For instance, when we fall asleep at night, we transition to a different gear. During the day, we require a particular mental and physical mechanism for wakefulness. But as we enter sleep, that mechanism becomes inactive and a different part of the mind takes over. This gear change creates a gap, an interval, a turning point. This awareness demands keen observation, which can be quite challenging for us. Typically, we struggle to observe anything deeply. Even if we are asked to observe a flower, our attention quickly shifts elsewhere. We may think about the flower's beauty or its colors, but we have already moved away from the direct observation. True observation means being present without mental chatter or distraction. If we can truly remain with the flower for 3 minutes without any movement of the mind, something transformative can happen. However, we often lack observational capacity. Our awareness and attentiveness are limited. We tend to jump from one thing to another. Our mind is an extension of the monkey mind, constantly moving. Yet, there are methods to still it. For instance, Buddha emphasized the practice of just sitting without movement, allowing the monkey mind to settle. In the same way, observing the turn of our breath without mental activity can lead us to an inner realization. Have you ever observed that when you hold your breath, your mind suddenly stops? The mind and breath are inseparable when the breath is in motion. However, when the breath ceases, the mind ceases as well. Why? Because they are no longer connected. When the breath is coming in, it remains connected to us. Similarly, when it is going out, it is still connected. But during the turning, we experience a disconnection. In that moment, the breath differs from us, and we differ from it. If breath represents life, we become lifeless during that interval. If breath represents the body, we become non-existent. If breath represents mind, we become thoughtless. That momentary disconnection holds great potential for self-discovery. In that moment, we can easily become aware of our true nature. Who are we? What does it mean to exist? Is there something more within us? These questions can be explored in the Turning Gap. It is a brief and subtle moment that requires careful observation. However, our current state of lacking observation skills makes it challenging. Our tendency to jump from one thing to another blocks deep observation. But with practice, we can develop the capacity to be fully present and aware of the turning. By doing so, we open the doors to self realization. Thank you.